Hello and welcome to the InfoSpot. My name is Shiri and I will be your host for this session. I am an occupational therapy student at Cleveland State University. Today's topic is creative occupations and self-expression outlets for veterans. In addition to being an OT student, which I am now in my second year, I have a background of being a camp art director. I also have experience guiding youth in the US and abroad through creative occupations and sessions. So I wanted to share some of the information that I have taught to other students and youth and also have learned from them because I think it's applicable and relevant to all people and especially and including vets. So I am joined today by one of my classmates, Colleen Bentler. Hi, Colleen.
Hello.
How are
Happy
you?
to be here. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Colleen, before we start, I need you to do one quick thing. I need you to grab a piece of paper and a writing utensil if you have that anywhere near you. A pen preferably, but either whatever you have that can write. And if you're watching at home, feel free to pause this video and grab those things really fast because it will be handy for what we're about to do in a little bit. You got that stuff? Ooh, you're quick with that. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk to you about really quickly is what is occupational therapy? What is occupational therapy, Colleen? Do you know?
Oh my gosh, funny you ask, because I am also in school for occupational therapy, just like you. So occupational therapy, it is a job, a profession within the medical field where we try to help people become more independent.
That's a great answer.
How's that? Do you want me to keep going?
No, you're good. That's great.
Occupational therapists do so many things.
It's true. We do a lot. And I'm just going to add a little bit that OTs help people gain life skills. We develop meaningful activities and goals, and we restore, like you said, independence and quality of life, despite any illnesses or disabilities or surgery or loss of mental or physical functions. OTs also work in most medical fields, including mental health, schools. We work in communities, helping people at all life stages, from infants to students to elderly. And finally, we provide people help with their daily activities, which are called occupations, which is what the name comes from, that most people take for granted. So I do want to share my screen really fast to show you one thing here. Let me do that. Share the screen. Okay. And occupational therapy practitioners ask what matters to you, not what matters, what's the matter with you. I just really like that quote to kind of summarize what we do. So OT's role in creative occupations and self-expression outlets. OT's roots actually stem from the arts and craft movement in the moral treatment era. So there's some pictures here showing what this field started off as. You can see there's some soldiers. So during World War I, hundreds of wounded men required activity to assist them to resume their daily living roles. And OTs would aid and instruct them in their bedside occupation. And they worked in military hospitals to help them work through injuries and whatever they needed. By World War II, the OTs were further trained and addressed orthopedic, neurological, and psychiatric conditions with returning soldiers. And then by 1960, creative occupations were used with children through sensory-based creative interventions. And today, creative occupations are used as an end and a means to rehab and help develop skills for all populations OTs work with. And OTs require a doctorate or master's degree level of education to work with clients. So Colleen and I are both currently going for our doctorate. So some learning objectives that I want you guys to know by the end of this talk is you'll be able to walk away knowing a little more about occupational therapy and understand the general role of what we do. And if you ever need an OT, you know what we can help you with. Understand the importance of engaging in creative occupations and self-expression outlets with supportive evidence-based research. And you will have the opportunity to engage in the creative occupation during this presentation. And finally, you will reflect on your own creative outlets, goals, and identify ways to engage in creative occupations and self-expressions in the future. So there's 5 reasons why this topic is important. And that is, at its core, the fundamental goal of OT is to work with our clients, right? Like we want to improve their quality of life. So engaging creative outlets and self-expression can lead to, number 1, mental and physical benefits to improve quality of life. So Colleen, what do you think? What do you think are some mental and physical benefits that can be improved through creative occupations?
For creative occupations,
Mhm.
I think a huge one is self-expression. So being able to express yourself and communicate in a way that maybe you don't need words.
That's a great answer. Like
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, so like kind of improving your self-reflection and your organization of thinking, that can really help as well. Also art, number 2, I would say that art is really, or even writing, is very powerful. It can give you power to yourself to get through a rough time, or it can help others get through a rough time. You can get your message outside of yourself to the world. Everyone really needs some way to process their emotions, no matter what you've been through. And actually, I have a nice quote here that by retired Lieutenant Colonel Ron Capps. He created and founded the Veterans Writing Project, and he said, "I've seen other veterans teetering on the brink because they have no outlets other than alcohol and drugs. If they want to write and they would like to hone their skills, the Veterans Writing Project is a great place to go. I do feel that everyone has a writer in them, if simply as a diarist of their experiences. And the experiences, the pain, the joy, the grief of the military service are all worthy subjects indeed." And I agree with that. I think that's a really good way to think about it. There's a lot that people who have been in the military have been through, have experienced, that are very interesting and unknown to the civilians, I think, in general. And this is a great, any of these creative occupations can either get that word out, either whether it's good for you, like to process it, or just to let other people know what you've been through, so people understand. Number 3, for 5 reasons why this is important. Small skills equal life skills. So there's a generalized, you can generalize your creative skills, such as in cooking, gardening, inventing, and creating are all useful skills in many settings. You can work on multiple skills at once, such as hand-eye coordination, balance, concentration, cognitive executive planning, playfulness, and so on. Number 4 reason why creative occupations are important is it's a social outlet. So what do you think, Colleen? What do you think you could do socially? Like, what would that help you?
Well, socially, and especially with art, I think for one, it would start a conversation.
Perfect.
Like if these are things that you're trying to process as you're like creating the art, you can be talking to other people about it. And I think, like you said, I think it might have been number 3 about sharing a story with someone else, but it's a great way to hear other people's perspectives on the same events too. So they could learn as much from you as you could learn from them.
Perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, conversation
Thank
starter. It's a way to meet other people with similar interests and relatable
Mhm.
experiences. That's number 2. That's okay. I forgive you.
Oh, so sorry.
There's no real order to these. And then finally, it's a hobby. It could be a hobby or a passion. Like it can even give you a new sense of purpose in life. Like some people say, like, I am an artist, I am a painter, I am a writer. Like that kind of gives you a new identity. Finally, number 5 is it's enjoyable. And in occupational therapy, we use models to support like some of our things that we do, like for our evidence base. So we have something called the PEO model, and that's person, environment, and occupation is the O. And basically what it is your capabilities and your interests match with the art medium that you choose in a place that best suits you and your social interest. So like all 3 of those realms come together and it's your perfect fit, and that makes you feel like whole and where you're supposed to be. So I'm going to share my screen one last time. This one right here is a random controlled trial that demonstrated that art therapy complements other therapies, such as cognitive processing therapy, to further assist veterans who may be battling with trauma. So participants in this study visually represented a safe place during their art therapy. So they would draw a place they would want to go to if they were starting to have like feelings that were PTSD symptoms, or just if they were starting to get anxiety, and they would draw this area. And then as a result of the mixture of the therapy and the art, the participants showed significant improvement in reducing depression and PTSD symptoms with the addition of art therapy, and anxiety was also noticeably reduced. The second article over here is called "My Heart on This Bit of Paper." It found that creative expressions can provide a safe outlet to process and communicate experiences, especially experiences that were hard to verbalize. Veterans participating in art therapy saw decreases in nightmare severity. They were able to open up, break free from isolation, and had a release of built up emotions. And then finally, veterans felt more at ease and positive attitudes towards themselves and their future. So yeah, just some evidence to support what we're talking about today. So I told you to grab a pen and paper. Do you have that paper and pen near you? So perfect. So what I need you to do is I'm going to have you take your paper and your pen, and I want you, we're just going to call them mandala. So we're going to do on a piece of paper. You can literally draw a circle in the middle, just like a regular, and then just like a big dot like that. And then I want you to draw dots around that. And then you can kind of add some arrows. So like I drew my dots around it, I started adding arrows, and just kind of keep going with that. Because the important first thing to know is that you do not need to consider yourself an artist to make art, which is what I have on this slide. So I'll give you a second to do that, and then you can show me what you came up with so far when you have a chance. I'm gonna keep playing with this too, and if you're at home, feel free. This is kind of a nice like thing to do mindlessly if you're ever feeling like anxious or you just need to get your thoughts in order, to just kind of like draw anything you want. You could even do, it doesn't have to be dots, it could be arrows, it can be like little cubes, you know, that you draw, squares that connect, anything that just like mindless little sketching. Some people do this one on their phone to kind of like, or when you're listening in class, this is actually real helpful too. If you're not somebody who likes to take notes, you can just do this and kind of like listen passively.
I can see what you mean with how like passive, but at the same time just calming this is. This is very calming.
Good.
This is dangerous. I might do it the rest of your presentation.
Whoa, that's actually really good. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, I'm going to pause you for a second because I want to show one more thing. So another thing I want to say, outside of not needing to feel like you're an artist, is that you can also look outside of traditional methods of art besides paint. So I want you to take your paper and I want you to turn it into a square. So just like fold, you sit it like this. So I can see myself. So you're gonna fold a piece like this and then just tear that piece off. Like tear it off carefully so you're left with a square. And when you're ready, just let me know. It doesn't have to be perfectly. I just kind of like rushed mine and it's fine. Perfect. Okay, so now what you're gonna do is you're going to, I'm gonna put this down. Can you see what I'm doing here?
Yes.
Okay, so I folded my paper. So
into a triangle.
Yes, from corner to corner. Next, so we're doing like a little bit of origami right here, useful origami. It's a party trick for all your friends. You're going to take that corner and you're gonna fold it to one side, like that. I literally just took the corner of my triangle and I folded it. Yep, you're gonna do the same thing with this corner over here. Now you're left with something that looks like this. So I just took this corner here and this corner to the other side. Perfect. You're gonna open up this flap over here. Now, flip it around, do the same thing, fold that corner down. You're gonna open that up. And now you should have, you know what this is? It's a cup.
No way.
Yeah, you can actually, it actually holds water. I'm not kidding. Very useful.
That's
have
awesome.
these little
Look, I
parts
got
that
the follow right at the front.
there you go.
Perfect.
So yeah, so it's a cup. You can put paper clips in there, whatever you want. But just the point of this was not necessarily you need to learn how to make a cup, but just the idea of like learning to use other like you can do other things besides having to just do pen and paper or paint or anything like
Yeah,
that.
love that.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Finally, you're gonna consider all creative mediums. So like, what are some other art mediums that you could think of?
I know a lot of people in art program, but also when I was growing up, I loved to like crochet, like make something out of yarn. Me and my sisters used to be super big into making friendship bracelets, like with like floss. We used to do that all the time.
Floss,
Sidewalk
okay.
chalk. Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Like thread, I guess.
I love that. Okay, so I actually have
Yeah.
some examples too. Those are all great examples, and you actually named some of the things that I'm going to show.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, that worked out well. Thank you for leading into that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So can you see that screen again?
Yeah.
Perfect. So photography, theater, comedy, gardening, film, cooking, baking, woodworking, story or poem writing, spray painting, chalking, like you said, ceramics, dance, there's digital media, there's painting and drawing, there's knitting, sewing, like you mentioned, vision boards. So if you're somebody who's like very much like wants to like think ahead, you can do that. There's junk recycling and sculpturing. There's music. So if you're musically inclined, whether you're a musician or a singer, you can do that. And many, many more. There's so many outlets you can do for creative expression. And now I want to play a little game with you. It's called the Did You Know game. And we're going to be, you're going to be guessing veterans who used creative outlets for their career and to also improve their mental health. So, and the health of others through their art. So most of these people are very famous. Hopefully you'll know them. I'm going to switch to showing this so you can see. Okay, can you see that again?
Yeah.
Perfect. So this person joined the Marines shortly after 9/11 and served for 2 years and 8 months before being medically discharged after suffering a mountain biking accident. He was assigned to the Weapons Company, 1st Battalion, 1st Marines. You know what this is? No. Sorry, I just realized my thing was recording just me. Let's see. Adam Driver. So he played Kylo Ren in the most recent Star Wars, and he's been in a bunch of movies. He just played in House of Gucci, that's out now. He founded the Arts in the Armed Forces, which is a nonprofit. It provides free art programming to the U.S. active duty service members, veterans, military support staff, and their families worldwide. And as a result of his own military experience, Driver decided to create a venue for veterans who aspire to become actors. So he kind of turned his, I don't know if he was originally planning on being an actor, but he started off in the military and then went into this.
Yeah, that's so
person.
Cool.
In the Air Force, he was an automatic tracking radar repairman and attained the rank of 1st Airman, 1st Class. He spent 4 years in the service before leaving to focus on acting. Let's see.
Oh, no.
Morgan Freeman.
I was thinking that even just based off of his eyes, but
that was a hard one.
I couldn't think of the name. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
This person enlisted in the U.S. Air Force as an air policeman after high school in 1958. While stationed in Korea, he found a new passion for martial arts. With copious amounts of training, he was able to use these skills in his acting career after leaving the Air Force 4 years later.
This makes me think that I would not be good on Jeopardy, Shiri.
Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris.
No.
All right. This famous radio co-host served as a captain in the U.S. Air Force, joined the military as a 2nd lieutenant with her nursing degree. She climbed the ranks and was captain by 1978 and continued serving as a reserve in the Air Force until 1990. So this is a radio person, so you probably need to hear her voice. I'm just going to go to it. I don't know if you'll know, but you'll definitely know the show. Her name is Robin Quivers, not Howard Stern.
The Howard Stern, I've heard of that before.
There you go.
Cool.
This person, he served as a field radio operator in the 25th Marine Regiment in Ohio, which is your clue, This comedian served for 6 years and has frequently given back to the military in the form of performances for the USO. Ready?
Yep.
Drew Carey. On rocks.
These are great.
Thank you. This comedian and actor served in the Marines for 23 years, first joining in 1990. He served in Kosovo, Albania, Liberia, and 2 tours in Afghanistan during his time, so he saw combat, and he became a decorated lieutenant colonel in the process. He kind of looks like him in this one, so you might know this one, but you might be familiar with the actor. This is Rob Riggle. He was in Step Brothers and a bunch of other comic movies. He's been on The Daily Show.
Yeah.
All right, this one is a little different. This successful content maker and artist was in the Air Force. Sorry, I'm moving this far, so way. Was in the Air Force for 18 years. He served as a records technician and eventually rose to the rank of Master Sergeant. He served as first sergeant of the U.S. Air Force Clinic at Ilsen Air Force Base in Alaska.
Who is it?
Rob Ross. Actually, his base in Alaska was where he first witnessed these snow mountains that show up in a lot of his paintings. So his military had a huge influence on him. And he also developed his quick painting technique that like kind of rose him to fame because he would do it for sale during his like little